sure that they'll be active supporters of it. Now, why should the United States initiate changes in a system of which it had been the main beneficiary? Because the system can't survive in its present form, and the United States has more to lose if it is not in the forefront of reforming it. America lost a lot of power and influence during the Bush presidency. Without far-sighted leadership, the relative position of the United States is likely to continue eroding. The United States is still in a position to lead the world. It can no longer impose its will on others, as the Bush administration sought to do, but it could lead a cooperative effort which would involve not only the developed, but also the developing world. This would reestablish American leadership in an acceptable form. Now, why should China submit to a new multilateral system in view of the fact that it is set to emerge as the winner from the current turmoil? The answer is equally simple. In order to continue rising, it must make itself acceptable to the rest of the world. That means that it must move towards a more open society, combining an increased measure of individual freedom with the rule of law. Given the current military power relations, China can continue rising only in a peaceful environment where the rest of the world willingly accepts the rise of China. It's even more important for the sake of a peaceful world that the United States should find its proper place in a new world order. A declining superpower, losing both political and economic dominance, but still preserving military supremacy, is a dangerous mix. And as I've tried to show, democracy is in deep trouble in America. The financial crisis has inflicted hardship on a population that doesn't like to face harsh reality. President Obama has deployed the confidence multiplier and claims to have contained the recession. If there is a double dip, the population will become susceptible to all kinds of fear-mongering and populist demagogy. If President Obama fails, the next administration will be sorely tempted to create diversions from troubles at home, and that could be very dangerous for the world. President Obama has the right vision, but he needs to be more far-sighted. He believes in international cooperation rather than the Bush-Cheney idea of might is right. But he is preoccupied with many pressing problems. Reinventing the international financial system is not high on his agenda. Some of his economic advisors still seem to believe that the efficient market hypothesis is valid, except once in 100 years. The financial institutions that have survived are in a stronger competitive position than ever before, and they will resist a systemic overhaul that would curb their powers. What is lacking is a general recognition that the system is broken and needs to be reinvented. That's why it would be so important that the theory of financial markets I've outlined in these lectures should gain wider acceptance. The Chinese leadership would need to be even more far-sighted than President Obama. They are in the driver's seat, and if they moved towards a more open society, they would have to give up some of their privileges. Right now, the Chinese public is willing to subordinate individual freedom to political stability and economic advancement, but that may not continue indefinitely. Corruption is a big problem, and China needs the rule of law so that citizens can criticize the government and prevent it from abusing its powers. And China needs to become a more open society in order to be acceptable to the rest of the world. The rest of the world will never subordinate the freedom of the individual to the prosperity of the Chinese state. As China is becoming a world leader, it must learn to pay more attention to the opinion of the rest of the world. But all this may be happening too fast for the Chinese leadership to adjust to it. China is accustomed to thinking of itself as the victim of imperialism. So it doesn't realize that it's beginning to occupy an imperialistic position. That's why it has such difficulties in dealing with Africa and its own ethnic minorities. Hopefully, the Chinese leadership will rise to the occasion. It's no exaggeration to say that the future of the world depends on it. Thank you.